All righty. So we have Sterling Davis here with us this morning of TrapKing Solutions, and he's going to talk about bridging racial divides, dealing with feral humans. Sterling Davis, known as the Trap King, is a well-traveled ex-military music and cat enthusiast who has always loved and interacted with people. Since childhood, he was also the only guy in his neighborhood who loved cats. One day, Sterling saw an ad posted up as a job to work with cats, and he signed right up. And in 2017, he started his own nonprofit, TrapKing Solutions, and the rest is history. In 2021, Sterling won the ASPCA Humane Award for Cat Advocate of the Year. Sterling, I'm going to hand this all over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stacy. I have been working with Stacy for a while, so it's always a pleasure to work with Community Cats Podcast. It's one of the first people to interview me and talk with me on some of my crazy ideas. So what we're going to talk about here is bridging racial divides, dealing with feral humans. When I say feral humans, I'm not talking about any particular type of human, not a certain race or a sex or anything like that. I'm talking about just a difficult person, difficult people when we out doing rescue sometimes. And that's why I say bridging that racial divide. I've been on both sides of that spectrum where I'm in a predominantly Black neighborhood and I'm having certain issues, or I'm in a predominantly white neighborhood and I'm having certain issues. And that's what I want to talk about today. So meow. All right. So before I go on, just in case y'all don't know, I don't have control of my slides, and I love to give a code word when I'm moving to my next slide, which is usually meow. That's what I just said. So if y'all hear me saying that from time to time and y'all like, I'm liking what he's saying and it's cool, but I think he's going crazy because he keep meowing in the middle of his sentences. That's just to go to the next slide. So meow. Trap-Neuter-Return, TNR, just to go over that real quick, is it's the humane alternative for death and euthanasia for stray and feral cat populations. So in case some of you don't know, I believe most of you all here today do know, it's the process where cats are caught in humane traps. They're not hurt. They're taken to low-cost spay and neuter clinics where they're spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and then returned back to their colonies. So this prevents overpopulation and spreading disease. So TNR is good if you like cats, like all of us here, or if you're somehow crazy and you don't like cats. It's humane population control. So that's what TNR is, just in case you don't know. Meow. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I think Stacy covered it enough. Y'all probably done heard enough about my big head, but in case you don't know, I started with rap. I've been doing music my whole life. I've been doing music and entertainment. I love it. And back in, I think it was maybe around 2012, I was in between music tours. I decided to help out at a local shelter, scooping some litter. And so that's what I did. And while I was there, I saw a ton of different things. I saw the divide, the gap between the Black community and the cat rescue community. I saw the compassion fatigue and burnout going on with a lot of the people that was in rescue and doing it. So I wanted to make a difference. It hit me like an epiphany that, hey, this is something I'm supposed to be doing. So I left my rap tour. I didn't go back, and I decided to stay with the rescue that I was working with, and work on bridging that gap between the Black community and the cat rescue community, and getting more people engaged, getting different demographics engaged. So that's exactly what I did. I stayed there for about 5 years until 2017 when I started TrapKing, Humane Cat Solutions. I started my nonprofit because I wanted to focus more on where I was working at the time. We did dogs, cats, bird, anything. We rescued everything. So I started TrapKing because I wanted to focus on cats and lower cat class communities. It was a problem that I thought that I could really fix. A lot of people was like, yo, that's so niche. It is, but it's something that I really felt like that I could fix, as far as helping with the compassion fatigue and burnout, because our ladies needed more people getting engaged. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to bridge that gap and get more Black and brown communities engaged. Meow. So when I started TrapKing in, I believe, 2017, like I said, I worked for the shelter for about 5 years, and I started TrapKing, and it's been like full blast. Like, a lot of people was like, this dude is out of his mind. He living out of his van, rescuing cats. Like, who does that? This picture that y'all seeing right here is actually from an event called Project Runway. It was like a little modeling deal. I walked down the runway. I had cats like hidden, and when I came to the edge of the stage, bam! I showed everybody the cats. It was hilarious. It was dope. But I loved it. I've been loving cat rescue and everything that I've been doing, being as rare as I am, being a Black man in cat rescue, because usually, like we all know, it's predominantly middle-aged white women that's doing it. That's who trained me. Shout out to Mickey Blair and all of the ladies that trained me. Meow. So this is a picture here from me out rescuing, I think, in Miami. I think this was in Miami. And like I said, I've been traveling the world rescuing cats. It's been great. I've been able to get a lot of people engaged. But one of the things that I noticed, and what we're talking about today, is, that's why I say dealing with feral humans. I've seen so many situations where there's a miscommunication and a misunderstanding with just trying to trap the cats. We get into so many other issues outside of just the cats. And I've noticed that, like, out here in Miami, I saw one of the issues were communication. In this trailer park here that we were in, a lot of the people that stayed there didn't speak English. That was already an issue. That was already a divide. And it's like, man, okay, we got to explain the cats, but we don't even know how to explain anything because there's a language barrier already. Meow. So why is racial diversity important? Well, one reason, y'all got to take a second and look at these cats. Is that not cute? Y'all put thumbs up if y'all think that's cute. Them babies is just too cute. And that's two cats not worried about their color, their patterns, their stripes. But why is racial diversity so important? Just like I was, well, in the world as a whole, we could go on and on why that's important. I mean, in the world, you'll see the most progressive communities are the most diverse communities. And that's one reason. That's in the world. As far as in our world, in animal rescue, is just like with the last picture that I was showing, where, like I said, there was a gap between the communication. I didn't know how to communicate with them people. So one reason could be just basic communication as far as diversity, why diversity is important. It is the communities that are more diverse that are more progressive, and that's one reason. But if you think about, like, what I was saying as far as who all trained me, it's been middle-aged white women for the most part. And if we only have one demographic, it makes it harder to explain it. It makes it harder to get more people into it. So in our world, racial diversity is extremely important, especially with my job, because we want to get different demographics engaged. We get more demographics engaged and aware, the more help we get for our trap queens out here burning out, and the more help ultimately for our kitties. Meow. So celebrate diversity. You see all of these babies. I say this all the time, like, all of these different color kitties, none of them worried about who's the red tabby, who's the orange, who's the tuxedo, who's this, that. Like, we got to celebrate it. We have to be, I think it's something that the more we conquer with that, the better we could conquer with everything we're doing. And again, that goes for cat rescue, that goes for the whole world, any job you're doing. Diversity is key. Meow. So these are some tips that I want to go over, and I always try to go over tips with going in different communities. Let me say this right quick. I've had so many situations where Black people and predominantly Black communities have taken it they see it as somebody different coming into my neighborhood. So it's probably bad. It's probably bad for me. They don't trust. I've gone into communities where I see my cat ladies, they go to the doors, they knock on the doors and they tell people, hey, we're doing free spay and neuter, we want to help you out. People don't answer the doors, they run to the backyard, they close their blinds, they push them off. They don't want nothing to deal with those people. And then I'll go in the same neighborhood, knock on the same door, and because I'm a black man, they feel more comfortable. And now it's like, hey man, them folks, they coming over here, they trying to take our cats and our dogs. There's not a serious understanding. And again, one of the main reasons I do what I do is the education. We got to understand that everybody is not as in tune as we are when it comes to TNR and community cat care. So some of the tips that I say, listen to the community. Don't judge. I know we go in area, I've done it. I'm guilty of this too, because we've said so many times, yo, I'm a cat person. I like cats, don't like people like that. Just give me cats. That's fine. I get that. I totally understand that. But here's the deal. If we're going to spread the word, if we're going to get more people engaged, we have to be able to at least talk and communicate with the people that we're any neighborhood that we're going into. So it's a real big deal. And I know everybody said this. I've said it 1,000 times. The hell with these people. I'm about my cats. And that's it. But we have to, and even if you're not a people person, because I got a lot of cat ladies that, yo, they shoot from the hip. They not people like that, but they get the job done. So even if you like that, you still want to try to bring somebody with you that can speak and can communicate, because it is important. And a lot of times, like I said, it's listening to the community and not judging. I know we can go in and tell people, hey, boom, 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 do this, you should do that, you're not doing that, you're not doing that. But it don't always get the best results. A lot of times, if you go in and just listen first, it really helps out a lot. If you come to me and you say, hey, this is what you need to do, boom, boom, and you're just shooting off orders and everything, it's cool. But if you just let me speak, let me talk first, I probably would listen a little better when it's turn and we can have a conversation and go back and forth versus at each other. Meow. So at another, be yourself. Expect the language barriers. Like I said, when I was in Miami, one of the things that I've done that I had a TrapKing tote bag, and on the front it said TrapKing or Trap Queen, and on the back in English there was I had a brief explanation of what TNR was, why it's good, and what it meant. And I had it in English, and then I had it in Spanish at the bottom. So one of the things, and I've seen people use flyers, flashcards, all types of stuff, but even a tote bag, which I've been in LA doing TNR before, and I got cursed out pretty bad. So when I got that bag and I was able to hold that tote bag up, and they can read and say, hey, okay, this dude is doing TNR, that's what it is, versus me trying to look on my phone and I'm getting cursed out in another language. So the tote bag is good. Expecting the language barriers, and be yourself. Like, be yourself. I tell people all the time, please don't try to overcompensate in situations. I've gone and done rescue in predominantly white neighborhoods, and it's like, as soon as somebody see me, the first thing they tell me is, hey, I voted for Obama. Okay. What does that have to do with cats? What does that have to do with rescue? Why did you feel the need to tell me that? Just be yourself. Don't overcompensate for any of it. Just be yourself. A lot of times when you approach it and you're genuine, people respond better. So don't overcompensate. Be yourself and expect the language barriers. Some stuff you're not gonna understand. Some stuff they're not gonna understand, but be willing to listen and keep that compassion for the humans as well as the cats. I know it's hard. You want to knock out some of these humans and cuddle all the cats, but we got to have compassion for both. Meow. So cultural bias, like cultural bias is something I want to talk about, because it's like, okay, so cultural bias like this. say like Asian people being good at math or something to that extent, or the fact that in a lot of these black and brown communities, when I've had my volunteers, my cat ladies, who are usually middle-aged white women, and they're volunteering, they're going out in certain communities, I hear people talk and assume automatically that this middle-aged white woman, she's a cat lady, she's, you know, every stereotype they could think of. And that's something that we've all been brought up with. We've all been raised, we've been raised to think certain things about black men as far as looking dangerous and aggressive. I've gotten that my whole life, that somehow I still look aggressive or dangerous, but it's it's a part of cultural biases that we have to know about them. We have to know what we was raised with, and we have to understand how to manage that. Um, like I said, a lot of times I've gone into neighborhoods and it's just assumed off site how I am, what I am, and then I've had to understand that I've done that as well. Just you see somebody, you assume that. We have to be aware of those. Meow. Yeah. So, and notice, I'll say this: notice the little things. And when I say the little things, it's I'll say this because this is a good one, and I love doing this whenever I'm speaking with people. Um, how do y'all feel about Michael Vick? Michael Vick, that name, Michael Vick. So this is what I mean by the little things. I know if you all don't know Michael Vick, it's the ex-football player for the Atlanta Falcons who he went to jail for abusing dog. Like he had like a bunch of dogs were killed on his property. The police came, found it. He went to jail and everything. Everybody in rescue pretty much hate this dude. It ended his career. um Michael Vick, when I say the little things, because I go in so many neighborhoods and we're trying to talk, me and some volunteers, and we're trying to get the point across or about rescue TNR and everything, and somehow Michael Vick's name come up. Now I'm gonna tell you, I know how I feel about Michael Vick. I want to knock the dude out, all right? A lot of people in black and brown communities feel as if Michael Vick has served his time, it ended his career, changed his life, and they feel like he's being picked on by the white community. This is something that black people feel. A lot of black people feel. So when Michael Vick's name comes up, everybody in rescue, you know what we do? We like, whatever, Michael Vick, yeah, whatever, this guy, whatever. And that's exactly what my volunteers was doing. And soon as these people, my folks, when they heard that, that was it. We wasn't talking about cats no more. We wasn't talking about TNR or what's better for the community. Now it became a debate about black and white, Michael Vick versus rescue, and that was it. I mean, from there on, it was so hard to stick to the rescue. That's why I say notice the little things, the little things. So many things that we don't see. I'll give you another one. Bumper stickers. I've had volunteers go in different areas, different neighborhoods, depending on the bumper stickers that you have on the back of your vehicle. Like if it's a political bumper sticker or if it's a religious bumper sticker. I've had volunteers go in certain neighborhoods. She can't understand why she can't connect with these people, but the political sticker on her bumper car had her done as soon as she pulled in here. She was done. She never had a chance to rescue cats or do anything because everybody in this community, they didn't care for the bumper sticker, her political stance. That's why with me, this RV that I live in, that I'm driving around in, is cats all over it. When I come to your hood, it's cats, it's TNR, it's rescue. I try to stay away from certain things like religion and politics. So the little things, notice them. Meow. So equality and equity, this goes back to, I like talking about this because this goes back to understanding and bridging that gap between black and brown communities. Um, Equality is the fact that, well, if you could look at the picture now, equality, you can see in the picture here that everybody, they're looking at the game, but it's not equal because one person can't see. So all the boxes are the same size that we have to stand on, but it's still not fair for everybody. Equity here on the right is where you see we have the boxes built to help the people so everybody can see evenly. I give that example because a lot of it is like, I've heard so many people in rescue say, okay, the tools are there. The tools are there. That rescue is right up the street. Like, why won't y'all go do it? Why won't y'all go help? Why won't y'all use the tools that's there? And that in animal welfare is equality and equity. We have the tools are there, but the equity is the education and showing people how to go about it, building that relationship and bridging that gap. Just to say, hey, there's the shelter up there, go use it. It's not always the approach. We have to look at it as in, like I said, with equity, where it has to be taught, it has to be explained. We got the tools, but you got to understand some of these areas we go in, the reason some of these humans are feral is because they don't know. They see the tools, but it's like, yo, I don't even know how to use this stuff. I don't even know how to do it. And yet now we're writing tickets and being punished for stuff that I didn't even know. I didn't even know how to use it correctly. So I always like to do the equality and equity thing, because we could go through it with the whole world, but in our world, in animal welfare and cat rescue, that's a big deal. We could set the traps, we could bring the traps, we could bring the food, but there has to be communication and a relationship with that community, and that's where the equity comes in. It's, we can't just bring the resources, we have to actually also show how it's done, how it works, and that's equality and equity. And I like showing that slide. If y'all got more questions about that in a minute when we close out, please holler at me. Meow. So again, communication, and that means, even though a lot of times we're going to go in neighborhoods with these feral humans, and we're going to be like, hey, this person don't know, they don't know what they're talking about. I do know what I'm talking about, they're wrong. It's going to be some times where you're going to listen to some folks talk and they're not going to know what they're talking about. But listen, let them get it out, let them talk, because it's an amazing thing how you start off listening, and it makes a lot of people, it makes it easier for them to listen when it's your turn to talk. So make sure you listen. Communication is key. Be flexible. So many of us in rescue, I'm not coming at everybody else, I'm speaking to myself too, but we know it. And we've seen so many situations. We could pick them out. I could go in a neighborhood and look at 6 different houses, and I could tell you what's going on with that house from an animal standpoint. Of course, I don't know what's going on in a house like that, but I'm saying from an animal standpoint, you can almost tell by the way the house is, how they feel, what's their stance, and we feel like we know it. That's cool. Don't be so quick to say this person is this type of way and I know it not working with them. No, be flexible. We got to communicate and understand that it will be different situations sometimes. I mean, we've been in a lot of them. We know how a lot of them can and may turn out, but we still have to keep an open mind and smile. Smile like this kitty right here, looking like a taxi driving with the doors open. It's so cute. Meow. This is my email. I'm gonna close out here, but I wanna say a few more things, and then we're gonna cut to the questions. This is my email, my business email address. Questions, concerns, anything, please hit me up, and please give me time to respond, because it is crazy now. But I do any tips, any help needed, anything, please feel free to email me. And again, I wanted to say this before I end too, with dealing with feral humans. Like, again, it's one thing to go in a community and meet different people and deal with that. You want to educate, but also sometimes we can be a bit feral in rescue. And I've been pushing for a long time. I know Stacy didn't heard me say it a billion times. Fix the fixers. A lot of times we have to check our compassion fatigue, our burnout. We got to check our levels so that we can be able to deal with humans that may be feral. Like, again, I've gone in neighborhoods and nobody looks like me. And it's probably going to be tough. They're not used to seeing people like me. But my main concern is the cats and educating the people about TNR and cat rescue. Um, if my approach is aggressive or strong or any of that, it's going to be harder to get my message across. It's going to be harder to educate, and it's definitely going to be difficult, me not looking like everybody in this neighborhood. Of course they're going to become feral. They're going to look at me like, what in the world? And it's the same thing in a predominantly Black community or anywhere that you are. We have to make sure we check our own energy with that. And I say that because it's been my main thing. I've been wanting to say, fix the fixers for a while. It's a lot of what we got going on. We are the rescuers. We're the people that's gonna come through and do this work. So we have to understand that a lot of the humans that we're dealing with, a lot of people that they don't know, we got to be a little bit bigger. And I'm hoping the more we have these conversations, we could be more bigger and better to the communities that we serve, as well as one another in rescue, like your fellow rescuers. That's why I say fix the fixers. I'm gonna leave it at that by saying you don't lose cool points for compassion. And I want to open up for some questions because that's the biggest deal. That's the most.
Thank you so much, Sterling. That was great. And I'm gonna, since this is my diversity day, I get to get the first questions in. And I know we've had a lot of intense, or not intense, but some intense conversations. We were on a podcast together a couple of times, and is the Wolf Keeper podcast, I think. And so I'm the white woman in the room. And it's a lot of the questions. I just want to bring up some thoughts that you might have about talking about we are the rescuers. When I go into a community, we're discussing a heated situation, and the way that I think about it is, how do we get information or suggestions into the community for self solutions? So it's within the community. So we're not going in, but we're creating a sustainable model to live and breathe continuously within that community, so that it's neighbor to neighbor. It's not us coming in. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many different ways and approaches to it, because I don't even think, and like I said, we've talked about this before. I don't necessarily think all of it is always a middle-aged white woman coming to the neighborhood. It's the fact that a lot of Black and brown communities are interested. It don't matter who comes in, because I've come in neighborhoods and they like, there go that cat dude again, bro. Why, like, stop. Like, they don't care. So some of the things that I've done, like I said, I always start off with listening. But one of my crazy ideas that I'm doing now, and I think we talked about it before, but I'm finally doing it, is I'm actually paying for TNR. I'm having contests. A lot of times it's so hard to get through to different demographics with anything. I had this issue with music. I would want my music to reach a different demographic, and it would be difficult. So how do I reach that demographic? So a contest, prizes is always good. I've gone in contests and I've gone in communities where I've had, whoever trapped the first cat get this prize, that prize, or whoever traps the most get that prize. And that way you have a couple of those. You find the people, you'll shake out the people that actually like and enjoy doing this. Now, you'll have a lot of people be like, that contest is stupid. You'll have people that won't even join the contest, but you'll find your people. And that's a start. With when you find those people, you can appoint someone in that community that looks like everybody else, and it makes it that much easier, because they look like everybody in that community, they talk like everybody in that community, they live in that community. So that's one of the ways of just, I say, building a relationship and trust with the community just to get started.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I'm a big supporter of the neighborhood cats model, which is trying to train folks to be comfortable with trapping community cats, and many hands make light work, and all that kind of thing. And so trying to grow that as much as possible. So in terms of how much time we're spent dealing with reactive situations, 80 million cats are in this backyard and people are complaining, versus the proactive, which is trying to just say, this is a way of approaching things, Trap-Neuter-Return. We're not doing it, but we can help you get the resources to learn how to do it and be able to, and here's some, free spay neuter or low cost spay neuter, which that's a very loaded statement these days, is finding that. But, in our dream world, if we had low cost or free spay neuter within, I don't know, 10 miles, 5 miles of our communities, our world would change dramatically.
Oh, that would be so, whew. But I'm working on it. Trust me, I am working on it. Shout out to the care organization. They helping me out. We working on it. Working on making DNR free here.
Well, that would be fantastic. That would be excellent. One other question I have before I dive into others, we've talked about like DEI policy, boards of directors, having a diverse group of people, diversity within your volunteer corps. Are you more of a mindset of, taking the strength that you can get and let diversity happen naturally, or should we be intentionally working to bring, diverse genders, populations onto our boards and within our organizations?
I'm gonna be honest with you, and this one of the things that I felt about a lot of the DEI groups, because I'm in a lot of them. I sit on a lot of those groups, and one of the things that I actually don't really agree with, to be honest, is the push of hurry up, get some diversity, because like you said, it's not a natural thing. Like for me, this process was natural for me coming into cat rescue. Nobody came and was like, hey, we got to get some diversity over here. You're a black guy, better come on. That doesn't even feel right. That doesn't feel right. That's why I say the concept of a contest and a person earning and leveling up or something to that extent in the community and helping. But to push it, I think the key is a lot of these DEI groups and everything is that we become aware. We talk about it. We have conversations like this, and we become aware and we let it organically happen versus push and force. Because I've had that before. If you push or force a situation, I mean, I think honestly it's happening with the shot, with the vaccine. As far as I'm vaccinated, but I know a lot of people in my family that feel as if because it's being pushed, something's wrong. Why now all of a sudden, you're forcing, you pushing. So why all of a sudden we gotta push this diversity for rescue? Is it real? Is it just for this moment? Is it something that's trending, or is it something that we're working towards to keep it correct in the future and always? And I think that's one of the things that I think that I would say I don't want to say disagree, but I think we could do better. I don't think it should be a force or a push to say you better have BIPOC on your board now. I think we should have the conversations, open it up, and organically move to that. That's what I'm hoping for. So.
Right. I mean, I've wrestled with this idea on a variety of different levels in terms of, are the diversity of the folks in our organization, as well as the diversity of the cats that we either take in for rescue, or the cats that get, access to TNR, making choices, targeted versus not targeted. In the sheltering world, it's huge trying to figure out, how many feline leukemia cats do I take in, or how do I turn those away, or how many do I have a shelter full of black and white cats, or do I have, so there's this programmatic diversity in our sheltering programs, and that's really challenging too. And because we have this obligation, and and I know transport causes a lot of different stresses too, so I'm seeing it sort of on both sides. So from today's presentation, putting things together was most challenging for me, because I still don't have this great vision of how does diversity work amongst us as humans, as well within the cats that we're serving.
Right. And I think that's important. I think and again, in a lot of the DEI groups that I'm in, I think that's the first thing we should understand. There's not somebody that completely understands it and nobody else understands it. I think we have to accept the fact we as a whole, we don't understand it completely. We don't know, even from my end as being a black man, I don't know exactly how to bring it about all the way. I know that it should be diversity, and just like with everybody else, we come to a point where we agree that it should be. But I don't think none of us know the way. And I think that's okay, because we got to learn together on how to go about doing it. But we have to get it out there. We have to get the conversation out there and get it going. And like you said, I really don't care for the push and, hey, do this, get this person right here like this. Now, just like what you said with the cats, it's a lot of stress with that. Now we got too many tuxedos, or we adopted out only too many tuxedos, or we only got this. Like, yeah, it's enough in it, and it becomes, when it becomes so, I guess, systemic, when it's like calculated like that, it takes the feeling, the soul out of a situation, the organic part of it out. So I think we definitely have to discuss diversity and get better with it, but we got to know that it's not something we could just, bam, everybody right now, you got it. Like, that's not, especially not here, especially not in this world. I've told so many people, this is cat rescue. It's not, we're not going to get up tomorrow and it be diverse. For so long, I've been the only me I see. And it doesn't just happen. It's not all just the fault of the shelters and the rescue. And I want to say that too. I want to make that point. It's not all just the fault of the shelters and rescues and they boards that's lacking diversity or BIPOC presence on the board. It's not all the rescue and shelter fault. A lot of it is to do with our interest, my people's interest in it. That's why I'm rapping and I'm trying to make it hip and cool and fun, because I want everybody to take an interest in it.
Do you find, as you travel around the country, that there are differences in any challenges in an urban area versus a rural area versus, say in more like isolated, areas beyond rural, or, have you heard of sort of different levels, or are we pretty much all dealing with the same stuff?
I mean, you got different in every city and every state. They dealing with some of the same things. It's just different areas. Like, so I could, like, in Minneapolis, it's the same. You have different areas, and some of it is heightened because of the weather. So in Minneapolis, it won't be as heightened. The rescue community won't be as heightened as maybe in California, because the climate is always warm. So rescues out there, and I'll say this is hilarious because I see this. This is one difference. Where it's a lot of rescue, where it's warm at, where it's a lot of different rescuers, the rescuers and the rescues are fighting, battling with one another because it's so much. And in the areas where it's cold, or predominantly black, underserved, brown communities, it's more so they fighting the rescuers to get out. So you have a lot of areas where you have too many chiefs, so to speak. I've go to certain areas in, like I said, Minneapolis. I feel like it's so many chiefs out there. So many people are doing good in rescue. But then you'll have an area over here where it's no chiefs at all. It's just only people trying to fight the rescuers out. So again, I think a lot of times it's just the amount. Like, again, I've in Florida, it's a lot. It's a lot of rescues going on. It's because the weather. So you got a lot of people getting engaged. Up colder climates, they don't, they're fighting with each other more so. If we could work like north and south, east and west, if we could even work with that as far as transport, I think it'd be better, because a lot of times we have that. We have the warmer climates always needing help, and the rescues and rescuers are battling with each other. And then in colder climates or underserved communities, it's just none. It's zero. And the fight is a totally different fight that has nothing to do with the actual helping of the cats. And yeah, I will say I see that a lot in colder climates, underserved climates. The fight is so different, even though it's all animal rescue, even though it's all cat rescue. Everywhere I go, the fight is so different. The issue is so different. Even with neighbors, certain areas, it's the neighbors where I've had situations where the cat is just a pawn in this crazy game between these neighbors that were doomed to dislike each other since they moved into neighborhoods. So yeah.
Oh. No, and I think that's a hot topic also with regards to In transport, now we're getting the conversation of sort of the cream of the crop cats and kittens being moved out of an area in the south, being brought up to the north or to other areas, and then not necessarily leaving enough, I don't know, marketable population, put it that way. And so it's these are strange conversations to have, because I've got spay neuter in my soul, so that's always like my first level. But when you're talking in the rescue world, you get down into these sort of micro, like, you know, what type of cat or kitten are you bringing up to me, and I can't, you know, there is a shopping element to it, to a certain degree. And you know, where's the fairness, and do all communities have a chance at the same kind of cats, the same diversity amongst the cats? So it's going back into that diversity, which is, you know, ensuring if you're moving cats out of a underserved community, and yet you're not providing spayed and neutered cats of the same ilk within the community, that community is going to have a growth of overpopulation. Because I see it happening actually in the Northeast, because organizations are adopting out fewer cats and kittens because they don't have the diversity. The ones that aren't doing transport don't have the diversity. So they're not sourcing sterilized cats and kittens into the community. Folks are getting them from friends and family, backyard, you know, litters, not spayed and neutered. Price is so prohibitive to get your cat, kitten spayed or neutered, so they're having oops litters. So there are now some parts of New England where the kitten populations are on the rise, because we're not supplying the community with a sort of pre-sterilized population. So there's it's a very interesting thing that's happening at this point in time with regards to transport and communicating between the organizations. So there's huge stress, I would say, you know, between, you know, organizations trying to understand what's going on both sides, and why is it important for us, or for, I say us because I'm in New England, but for New England to have, like, or for all of us to have sourced, sterilized, spayed and neutered cats going out in the community, or very accessible, affordable spay neuter services.
Yeah, both. I mean, and both, because I love what you said about diversity, because it as far as diversity in the type of cats, because again, we're coming up on Halloween, and we know I'll be trapping 1 billion black cats after this, because it's Halloween. But like you said, the diversity in just the cat alone from transporting like that, I do see it. It's but again, that comes from, even when I worked at the shelter, people, it's the human relationship, because we had our favorite people that would come and pick up these specific type of dogs, and then it's so much focus on those specific type of dogs, and then people in the rescue calling dibs when the next one comes, we want this, and then you have a slew of other cats and dogs that's just not getting tended to, like the pit bull thing with the boxer, when we calling him a boxer now so they can get adopted out. Like, I see that. I see that a lot, and I think it is, again, it's a human thing. It's so many of these issues in rescue that are, it's a human thing. It's not the animal thing. It's the human thing. Again, it's the certain facility, like where you are now. That's crazy that it could even be like that, that people would transport certain cats and do that to an extent. But I've seen it, because we're somewhat shopping. We're somewhat shopping, and instead of just thinking of rescue, the life, the cat or the dog or whatever animal it is yourself, we have that somewhat of shopping element to it, and I think that it's hurting us. It's definitely hurting us.
So I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about education. I certainly know that education and kids, it's really an important component of the work that you are doing. And, you know, and you've got at least one children's book out there, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've gone into schools a lot. Do you feel that, you know, biases and opinions are already in the minds of kids, that when you see them, or are they like sponges, and we should really spend more of our time and effort trying to encourage sort of diversity and, you know, respectfulness and listening and all those tools at a young age, and what age would that be?
Well, I think it's both. I think they are sponges, but I do think that at a young age they have developed. You could see certain things developing and going on in there, and that's why I want to work with kids. Because when I was younger, I could remember some of the stuff that I thought, and like some of the kids that I've read to and going to schools to, they didn't know that a boy could have a cat. They didn't know that they thought all dogs were males and all cats were females. Like I've talked to kids like that. So they really, some of this stuff is already developing. When I was young, you couldn't do none of the stuff that I'm doing. I never saw anybody like me before. And I know my friends and family and all my homeboys around would have made fun of somebody like me. If a guy was painting his nails and rescuing cats and talking about this TrapKing stuff, they would have been like, dude, you're weak, you're lame, you're sensitive, and we're gonna run you out of here. We're gonna bully you. Like, so I can see when I go to a lot of these schools that, yeah, the kids, they've developed some of these biases, but they're still sponges in the point to where they see me and they like, oh my goodness, this guy he gonna cuddle that cat and still be cool. He gonna cuddle that cat and still be tough when he leave here. He's still a cool rapper. He's a tough guy, cool. I can see that already, and I never saw that growing up. I would have loved to see a man that wasn't toxic and that would volunteer and do things like that. I would love to see that. So I think I can see that already, and I love it. Like that's one of the biggest things about going to the school is to see some of the kids looking like, wow, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know there were guys like that. I've seen kids say, man, they see my tattoos and they would have thought something different, but now because they saw me come to their school and what I talked about, they don't just assume that some of those biases you can see like, oh, okay, they are kind of cool. And it was the same way with me when I went out with cat ladies. It was at first it was like all my friends like, man, what you doing out there? All white women, most of them lesbians. Like, what are you doing out there? Like, are you safe? Like, is that weird? And I'm like, dang, I didn't even think about that. Like, they actually cool though. Like, these ladies are cool. I would have never known we could go paint our nails and gossip about TV shows and silly stuff. Like, I never knew we could be cool. So I see it. I see it at the schools. I saw it in me, and I would love to see that reaction from more people. I would love to see more people just like those kids look at things a different way. And of course, it's not all of them. And of course, it's a process. It's a process, but it's starting. We're starting it. I mean, children really are the future, and you teach that compassion young. It's going to be better for the humans. It's going to be better for the animals. Just period. Compassionate and learning at that age, it makes for better adults, I think, and I definitely can see it. Look at this one.
It's really interesting what you're just talking about, and I was trying to think about, we had a conversation a little bit at yesterday's event when I was talking about the various people that I've met over the years who've been involved with helping cats and supporting cats and rescue, and so many people that I forged wonderful friendships with and relationships were people that without that cat bond, I would never have developed, Sterling, how would I have met you, and that kind of thing. But when I look at people in this space, I believe when I see this cat passion, like, and that's like the banner that's like over, or the halo that's over everybody's head. And so all the other pieces fall away. And we may disagree on certain things. We may disagree on how to trap cats. We may, you might like the drop trap. I might like the box trap, or we might have these kinds of disagreements. But like at the end of the day, the cat gets trapped and the cat gets into the clinic and it's getting, the job is getting done. And so if we can push some of the biases away and just see the cat halos on top and live on that platform, I think that our lines of communication would be just a lot easier.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I've said 1,000 times, I feel like, I'm everybody talk about how niche I am with cats and community cats and TNR, but I'm into it as far as living creatures as a whole. Like I feel like cats, animals, just like comedy can bring people together. I'm hoping that this can bring people together more, not just I mean, for the sake of the animals too. I mean, it's mainly for that because again, the ladies that trained me, it was just them. Like in so many communities, it wasn't no men, it wasn't no black or brown people, it was just them. And these tough ladies is going out every night with their own money, and it's crazy. And I'm like, if we could get more people this gung ho about it, and that's, I really hope that we can use that to bring people together, period. A lot of things, a lot of issues, even not just our animals, a lot of issues in the world today, if we could just communicate, if we could just push out some of those unnecessary biases and get to the, no pun intended, the meat of it all, because it would really be good, I think. And this is a start. This is a start. These little cuties.
Can
This
you
is
share the title of the children's book that you published? Folks are asking, and if you have any thoughts of any other children's books to share that might be good for folks.
uh I can't, I can't off my head think of some other ones, and that's why I did my book. But it's Marvin Trap King for a Day, and it's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. Marvin Trap King for a Day. Um, I did it because I didn't see a lot of children's TNR books like focused. I know that's really neat niche like that, so I didn't see it. That's why I made it, because I wanted to tell a story of a little boy. Well, I'm not gonna tell you the story. I got to get the book, but I wanted something that focused on TNR and community cat care, and I do plan to make some more soon, because it helps. It helps. Like the kids like the story, a little rap with it. It's been cool. So Marvin Trap King for a Day.
Great. And then there's also a couple of books by Valerie Ingram and Alistair Schroff of Lakeside Animal Society. They're out of Canada. They presented at a conference a couple of years ago. And I have the books right over there. So at the next break, I'll put those in the chat. It was actually they're great children's books. Don't get me wrong. They're wonderful children's books. But as my mother was suffering from dementia, she loved reading the books about the cats, and it just brought her joy through a very tough time in her life. So there was actually, something in an older component there too with the children's book. So, it's not just for the kids. And another side note on that is I run a group out of Chelsea, Massachusetts. So here I am up in Vermont, virtually running a group in Chelsea, Massachusetts. Their library is doing a virtual reading thing. So I was asked to read some children's stories, record that, and then they're playing them on their website for kids to read the books. I mean, to watch us reading the books, and then they would have them for checking out and that kind of thing.
That's cool. That is so dope. I like that. Every time I come on, I got another crazy idea. Something cat related crazy idea. I gotta say this one. That's the next move is a hospice. Hospice for people and cats together. I want that so bad. That's the next move. After the fraternity and sorority finally going, the hospice is next for humans and cats. It's gonna be amazing.
I just interviewed a woman in Atlanta, actually, Beverly Means, who runs a foster care program very similar in the hospice foster network type thing. So I'll have to virtually introduce you. I just interviewed her for the podcast. Yeah. So it's very exciting, very exciting. Let me check and see if there are any other questions out here for folks. One question from Laura was, whereabouts are you going in Michigan? And she would love to meet up. She's in Michigan.
I'm going to I'll be in Ann Arbor, and I'm gonna go to Detroit. I'm trying to go to Detroit as well. Is it Port Huron, Ann Arbor, and Detroit to do some rescue stuff. It's like three different things. It's a group out in Detroit called the Motor City Trappers that I want to try to get to as well. So I'll be in Port Huron, Ann Arbor, and Detroit.
That's great. And All About Animal Rescue, which runs like 3 spay-neuter clinics one in Detroit, and then there's 2 others. They are part of the Neighborhood Cats Trapper Certification Program. So if folks do get certified in Michigan, they do get some benefits on like priority appointments and access to trap rental and that kind of thing too. So we have a really, really great connection out there.
Shout out to
Yep.
neighborhood cats too. Y'all be the certification thing is so dope. Every time you run it, like people be asking me about it. Like I'm getting more comments about it, and I think it's cool. Again, it's like that certificate, that process. Not only are you more comfortable with going out and doing it, because I have so many people that treat the trap like it's my mom with a laptop. My mom act like she gonna push one button, it's gonna boom explode. It's like no. So it's good. The training is good to get to learn, be comfortable with it all. But then as well, just spread that information and different tricks, like different tricks with the catch plate that the neighborhood cast is.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm. So it's the Humane Society of Huron Valley, where you'll be visiting in Ann Arbor. So keep a lookout. I would assume, you're going to be a keynote at their fundraiser. So that's fantastic. So that super. So probably just keep a lookout on your social media about updates as to other details with regards to that when you're going to be in town and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's actually called the Compassionate Feast, and I'll be posting more about it as we go on. But yeah, the Compassionate Feast, and it's gonna be running around like crazy. So definitely, if you out in Michigan, please stay tuned because you'll see my big head butt running around, cuddling kitties.
I'm going to ask you a question that, the last year and a half, whatever, since whenever COVID started, I would say a lot of organizations feel an increase in anxiety. They've lost staff. Resources have been challenging. I know you're dealing a lot also with people you're dealing with organizations, but you're also dealing on the ground with individual folks and people. Are you feeling that we are in a world of heightened stress and anxiety, or are we just still sort of about the same? I mean, are you feeling, if I had to give you like a thumbs up or this way or this way, I mean, how do you feel like our cat energies are going these days?
I think honestly, we are heightened everywhere right now. We are heightened. I don't think it's just the rescue world or the cat people. I think we are all heightened, and I think that's why it's so important for now for us, the rescue community, the animal folks, to understand that this is actually therapy. I've had to. The pandemic drove me to therapy. Between some of the stuff, the pandemic and in rescue, I've had to run to therapy. But with you always can't afford or have access to that, and that's why I say these animals, these cats, they are therapy. And this is where we got to remember: volunteering is a happy thing. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. We have to focus and hold in on that, on the positive part about it, but I do feel like it's heightened. I mean, we have people, like I said, I talked to somebody that's rescued so many cats, hundreds and hundreds of cats, and they're so great, and every time you see them they frowned up and mad, and it's, how could you be so mad when you're a superhero? You're a superhero for all that you've done. How are you mad? Why are you so mad at everybody else that's trying to be like you and do what you're doing? And you just mad. You're doing it wrong. No, like you are a superhero. I think stuff is heightened, and I think that's why I keep pushing, fix the fixers. We gotta turn up the love and compassion for everybody, for every living creature right now, because it is, I think, in rescue and in the world, it is heightened. Um, as things go to get fixed and go back to normal, hopefully hopefully there won't be more, but we got to be prepared for it and prepare for it with the love. Like we really gotta spread that positive energy right now, because I do think it's heightened. And again, y'all, these babies, it's the therapy, y'all. This is therapy. If you ever been to any type of AA or NA or any of those type of groups or anything, that's one of the first things they tell you is to go find somebody else to help. Go sponsor somebody else. What we do in rescue, this volunteer work, when we sponsor or help somebody else, it's therapy, y'all. It helps us too. So yeah, it's heightened, but we're in the right place for it. We just got to keep the positive energy going.
I also think it's really important for us to be aware of and identify what are our own personal triggers. Because for some people, I know for myself, social media, like if I get on it, I'll, every day I'll become like really addicted. And I mean, I know your world is very revolved around social media. So here I'll call not only the Trap King, but I'll call you the social media king. Do you have to take a break from it at some point in time?
Oh yeah, I do. I schedule posts now. So a lot of stuff is not me posting, and then I'll just take breaks. Before I would, you probably wouldn't see me without a post every day. I at least had one or two posts every day. And now people will say, "Hey, it's been 3 days. I haven't even seen you or heard from you." And it's because you got to take that break. Like you have to. I'm lucky that my feed, my social media feed is full of cats and cat related stuff because that's all I'm doing. But some people's social media feed is full of everything. I looked at my brother's feed and the stuff was coming up and I was like, where? Like, oh, he don't have cat pictures every other picture. Like my stuff is full of bub and colon marmalade and all of this stuff. But it, if you don't have that on your feed, it's kind of tough. But just social media, period, I have to take breaks. I've had people come and question me and say I was doing stuff wrong, or you didn't trap enough cats when I saw you over there, or this, and it'll beat you down. I definitely take breaks now, take breaks from it. And again, the break from social media and all of that again are the actual animals. Put that stuff down for a second and just actually deal with the animals. Go out and trap, cuddle up and pet, but I definitely feel it. I would recommend anybody and everybody taking social media breaks. And this is coming from, like you said, me, super social media. I'm on there a lot. I've
Yep.
had to dial it back because it gets it gets crazy. And I know people feel like everybody likes me. They think I'm cool, but you'd be surprised how many people don't like me or how much stuff I can get. And I find it rummaging around through social media when I probably should be out training my cats or rescuing some kitties. So
Right.
yeah.
One other thing I also think that we need to be aware of too, I've found a lot of people expect us to be all things for all cats. So, one situation that I had was, I had a party at my house for volunteers, and I had a big basement in my house, and everybody was like, "Well, why don't you have that filled with foster kitties? Why don't you have cages all through your basement?" And so we need to be respectful for each other to say, you know what, hey, maybe, you know maybe it's great for Sterling to drive around in an RV and that's your choice, but we shouldn't expect all of us to have our own RVs and driving around. And so I think we also need to be very respectful that we can't. I know our organizations, a lot of them are very small and run by a few people, but we cannot be all things to all people. I cannot bottle feed kittens in the middle of the night. I need sleep. I just, it's not in my world. But for other people, they can't run a fundraiser, and that's okay. It's okay. We just have to merge ourselves together so that we're covering all these bases as a group. But we don't have to think that each one of us has to do all of these categories. And I feel like many of us have that expectation.
Oh yeah. And that's again, compassion fatigue and burnout comes with it because we feel like we can do all of that. The reason why I'm always pushing for more community-based organizations around the main shelter, because the main shelter can only do so much. They can help and they can provide, but that main big old machine that they're not going to be able to focus on the neonatal care the way that Kitten Lady may have the time to. And they might have some volunteers that do TNR, but they're not living in a vehicle and going to live there for a week until they catch who they want to catch. Like, so the community-based programs and things around that's like niche like that is good. It's nothing wrong with understanding you can't do it all. I tell people all the time, I live in here, so I can't, there's only so much fostering or bottle baby fostering I can pull off living in this camper. I can't, it's unrealistic. It's just like, so I have to understand it. I have to work with people. I have to work with adoption agencies, fosters, bottle baby fosters. I even work with people on space just to let my cats heal, my TNR kitties heal, because I can fit about 8 of them below in my RV. But after that, I have to have space to have all my cats heal. So we work together. Like it's okay to be your niche thing and you play your part and you do it. Some people may just be transportation and nothing else, but it is definitely needed. And it's a lot of help that can come with that. I have people that only want bottle baby fosters. Actually, my friend Samantha Martin, shout out to the Acro Cat. Samantha Martin, if she fostering, it's some bottle babies. she wanna nurse on some babies, and that's fine because it's, for me, bottle baby fostering is difficult. Oh my goodness, and I can't let them go after I done babied them like that. Now it's like they mines. I can't let them go. So yeah, all of us coming together, our little niche things, because when we try to do it all, uh, it's so much. I've watched people try to do it all. I've tried to do more than I was able to, and it'll burn you out quicker. You know, knowing what you can do, understanding your limits, and sticking to that, and playing your part. That's not a bad thing at all. Cause Stacy, you know, I'm great with cats. I'm great with people. The business side of things, like I've been learning and growing through that part so much. So know it and don't be ashamed of it. Get the help.
Last question for you, Sterling. You mentioned sorority and fraternity. Is that part of your like next step plan? In like, I mean, I'm thinking about 2022 plans. Organizations should be thinking about what they're shooting for in 2022. What is that? And is that part of your future plans?
Oh yeah. So for 2022, that's definitely a part of the future plans because I have so the concept has always been fraternity sorority. After people leave colleges, they still pay dues and volunteer for their fraternities and sororities. That's the concept that I want for Trap King and Trap Queen fraternity and sorority. Still volunteer to pay dues. We do different fun stuff on social media. I know that social media, again, trying to use it for good to help boost people's social media and what they may want to do as an entrepreneur if you're a part of this fraternity and sorority. A lot of people join fraternities and sororities for the perks that come outside of that. And that's in 2022, that's what I'm looking to do. Y'all gonna see it, the jackets with patches for how many lives you saved, cat lives. It's gonna be like Sons of Anarchy meets cat rescue.
Like a
Yeah.
community cats patch. Yeah, got
Yeah,
it.
you gotta have a community. The community cats patch would be like, once you probably get that one when you get to like 100. You get to like 100, now you got the community cat, and they be people walk in, you walk in the room, and people be like, "Oh my goodness, they got the community cat. They done saved 100 cats at least." Like, oh my God, how do you know? They got the patch.
Excellent, excellent. Sterling, I want to thank you so very much for spending time with me this morning. Great conversation, excellent presentation. Thank you again. And folks, you might see a little bit of Sterling again later today when I'm doing a Q&A with Mary Tan. So you may pop back in and join us later in the day. Sterling, everything looks great. And all that swag in the back, is that on your shop?
Oh yeah, it's on my shop. I gotta mention that too, and I never mention these things. TrapKingHumane.org. You find this stuff up there. Please tune in to ABC October 29th, Shark Tank.
Oh,
Tabby Dates, the dating app for cat lovers that I created, will be on Shark Tank October 29th. Please watch that. And if you haven't seen Cat People on Netflix, check it out. I took Netflix out for a whole day in the hot ATL sun and made them trap cats with me. It was great. They was mad at me, but we did it.
it was excellent. I watched it. I actually binge watched Cat People, and it was a great series, really wonderful. So awesome. You've just done some amazing stuff over the last year or so. Thank you again. Hope we'll see you later with Mary.
Thank you.
And so thanks.